Been homeless.
I have been homeless because I can't pay rent, pay my bills because my checks have been garnished. 66 1/3% of my check. And I can't pay rent. I can't do nothing. I don't have a life. And I have got the proof of my rares what I'm back owed.
Jerome, let me see that, please. Did the right thing in the beginning by requesting a DNA test.
Yes, ma'am.
You truly felt like at that time your wife had been unfaithful to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you asked for a DNA test?
Yes, ma'am.
You were not granted it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are $146,918.51
oh my God.
in arrears.
And I look over my shoulder every day in fear of going to prison.
A test means jail for this man, as he is behind on child support.
Ms. Adams, now your son, Mr. Adams, is joining us via satellite from Flint, Michigan, because he's been prohibited by law enforcement from leaving your home state. You claim he's on the verge of being arrested for back child support, and you're both with us today to prove he's not the father of the defendant's 3-year-old son.
The mother of Mr. Adams explains how their son got into this situation.
Your Honor, my son is now facing jail because of this situation.
This very moment, you're concerned that he could be arrested for failure to pay child support for a child that both of you have doubts is even his child.
Mr. Adams felt they never had a relationship when asked to explain the nature of their relationship.
You were in a relationship with Ms. Williams?
No, I really wouldn't call it no relationship.
Ms. Williams felt the same way about their relationship when it came to how serious it was.
I mean, no, when we was young at the time, we hooked up on and off, and it just.
So it was just an on and off thing.
Yeah, it was just an on and off thing.
So if it wasn't committed during that time, were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Miss Williams is not sure he is the father. She claimed it's a possibility, and that she never outrightly claimed he is the father. When she got.
All right, so the doubts that Mr. Adams and his mother have, they are valid doubts.
It's a possibility. I never, said, oh, you are the father or you gonna take care of this baby or nothing like that.
When she got pregnant, she thought it was her ex's baby.
So when you got pregnant, you didn't even include Mr. Adams in this equation.
No, I didn't.
You thought it was your ex's. And your ex said, well, it's mine too, and you all went through this whole process, but then you had a test, it was not your ex's. So immediately then you said it was Mr. Adams.
Yes. I located him and I told him it's a possibility that you may be the father.
When she needed help and went to the state, she dropped his name as the father.
Yes, I did.
And you gave the state his name?
Yes, I did.
And then he was ordered to go to court?
Yes, he was.
Mr. Adams, did you go to court?
No, Your Honor, only due to the fact that I was incarcerated, so I didn't receive any court subpoenas, anything, Your Honor. I was incarcerated.
Mr. Adams' mother claims she overheard Miss Williams telling her son the child is not his.
But the other conversation came about in my very own living room while I was in the kitchen. And she and my daughter was talking, and the question came up again, was my son the father of the child? And she said no.
That's
actually.
A lie.
So you heard her say no?
Yes, she said no in my living room. And she's over there talking about it's a lie, and she was in my very own living room.
Miss Williams denies it all.
Matter of fact, I take that back. I wasn't 9 months pregnant. I was still in the middle of the pregnancy, and that's when I told you when I was with my ex, and I thought it was my ex at the time because I was still messing with my ex. That's what the agreement was between me and my ex at the time.
So you said it's not his?
Yes.
Why didn't Mr. Adams take the DNA test?
She said it was a strong possibility.
You didn't believe that?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Because first off, she had already told me that the baby wasn't mine. Then she named the baby after her ex-boyfriend.
The mother provided the judge with the evidence of her arrears.
Total arrears are over $1,000.
Over $2,000.
So this situation just keeps escalating.
Mr. Adams narrated how he ended up in jail for not paying child support.
What happened?
Basically, I was walking to the store to get some cigarettes. Police just ran our names. Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant. So I gave them my name proud, like, I'm Lassiter Adams. I ain't think I had no warrant. Come to find out, he come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams, you got a warrant for child support. I'm like, what?
The features of the baby were examined by the mother, who felt the child looked nothing like her son.
No, I can't see it, Your Honor. To me, he favors his mother.
Do you see it at all, Ms. Williams?
Like I said, looks don't mean anything. Sometimes he do, sometimes he don't.
It's time for the results.
In the case of Adams v. Williams, it has been determined that Mr. Adams is not the father.
It is surprising to learn that in 2009, custodial mothers received $19.5 billion of the $31.7 billion in support that was due, while custodial fathers received $1.9 billion of the $3.5 billion that was owed. This data is provided by the United States Census Bureau. Despite the common use of the term deadbeat dad, this research suggests that mothers are more likely to be in arrears on their child support payments than fathers, even though mothers have a much lower total arrears amount. However, only fathers are targeted in speeches that stress the importance of parents taking responsibility for their children. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, delivered a speech to the American male population on Father's Day, June 27, 2008, in which he praised the many fathers who provide financially and emotionally for their children, and also reminded them that the deadbeat dad scenario is all too common. Today, we are reminded that our families are the foundation upon which we build our lives. The importance of every father to his child's upbringing must be acknowledged and celebrated. They serve as lecturers, trainers, and examples to their students. They are the men who have made it and who keep pushing us forward. But if we're being truthful, we'll also admit that fathers are noticeably absent from far too many children's lives and households. They've stopped acting like men and more like boys. In turn, this weakens the very bedrock upon which our families are built. It is unthinkable that the president or any other prominent politician or celebrity would dare to publicly reprimand mothers on Mother's Day. Still, for whatever reason, men are held to a higher standard than women when it comes to accepting and enduring criticism of this nature. Perhaps it's because the only information the general public has is that, statistically, child support is rarely paid in full. Simply, looking at that widely known statistic should be enough to convict the deadbeat dad. Very rarely is the fact that women are less likely to pay their child support obligations as ordered by the court mentioned, and thus it is less likely that this fact is widely known. However, custodial mothers were less likely than custodial fathers to have been employed either full or part-time in 2009, a finding that supports the argument that the wage gap is a major reason why women do not meet their financial obligation to their children. While the delinquent mother may be able to use positive or negative justifications for her actions, society and the law are much less likely to give any weight to such explanations when the father is unable to pay child support. Despite claims that child support obligations are far too high, fathers are more likely to go to jail for falling behind on payments. According to the Family Legal Guide published by the American Bar Association, willfully failing to pay child support to a child who resides in another state is a federal crime if the past due amount is greater than $5,000 or has been outstanding for more than 1 year. Fines and jail time are possible consequences for breaking federal law. In addition to civil penalties, state law often imposes criminal penalties for unpaid child support. More than 65% of cases require child support payments, so it stands to reason that non-payment of these obligations is a leading cause of incarceration for fathers. According to the US Bureau of Justice, in 2002, the number of incarcerated men who owed money for child support but were not serving time was 10,000. Although it's unconstitutional to lock someone up for debt without providing them with a fair trial, debtor's prison, license suspensions, and wage garnishments are all still common methods of collecting on overdue bills. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It motivates me to create more content for you. See you next time. Cheers.